That's it. And that only is an issue to me when there's a practical or pragmatic goal in mind and their feelings, emotions, values, sentiments get in the way of achieving that goal when it's necessary. So I call TPs trigger pullers. We're willing to do whatever is necessary in order to make things happen for a good enough reason to us, like if it makes sense, which is dangerous. But typically, because we're rational, we do make more sense than not. Our methods may not always be right,
Yeah.
but so that puts us in conflict because we know that pattern and we're aware that we're probably right about whatever decision we're making if there's an actual practical goal in mind. And then when they stand in the way, the SFPs they don't mess it up, but they prevent it from going smoothly. They're very inefficient, and
Hmm.
that bothers my NT.
They can be
Maybe
loose
it's my
cannons
ET.
too. Just kind of just like that FI and that SC can just make them just go really far in one direction, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? It's self-control. It's self-control. It's self-confidence. It's self-esteem. And when they are developed, they can get over those hurdles and stop being a burden to the individuals they typically would help. And that does a world of good because that sends them on this upward propulsion towards like positive momentum. Everybody else around them benefits when they're in a society that's benefiting from their existence. They feel like they're fulfilling their purpose, right? And role fulfillment is basically what their FI is, right? So their introverted feelings get propelled by the good, and then they continue to do whatever it is that brought them that good, which means continuing to work on themselves, continuing to do introspection, continuing to get feedback rather than running from judgment, because fear of judgment is tied to their extroverted thinking, their inferior function. And then finally, ESFPs, right? I've never had a short instance with the ESFP that's gone bad. I love them in short bursts. Long term, especially when they feel like they're getting the best out of life, their ENTP starts acting weird, or their INTJ starts doing things that everybody else would wish they wouldn't do, and then they try to laugh it off, hee hee,
Yeah.
because their shadow's ISFJ, and I'm the baby, you gotta love me, and that's not how that works either.
Yeah. I
Long
like
answer.
I get along with ESFPs. I
Mhm.
like for the longest I've never had a problem with ESFPs till I did. Like you know what I'm saying? Like when I got older I finally okay, I could see their flaws a little more. But I still would say that's one of the types I get along with the most. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Of course, ISFPs, I come across them a lot because we're similar. I
Yeah,
think I
you
can
you
spot them
guys
pretty
kind of
well.
gravitate.
Yeah,
You
they just
always like gravitate.
it's like they pop up out of nowhere. Like where do I get? Like where do
Yeah.
they come from? You know, it's kind of
Mm.
interesting. I guess they just kind of they find you interesting. They'll come and talk to you.
Hmm.
Or I guess sometimes they can be shy too, but it just depends. How they feeling. I guess. But yeah, it's interesting. Like when you meet all these different people from different types and stuff, you can see how many shapes and sizes it comes in. You know what I mean?
Right, because they don't always come in the same two containers. Like each type, I've realized through observations, they seem to have two specific body frames, if that makes sense, right? So they have characteristics that are specific to themselves. In ENFJ, for instance, having an ovular face is a commonality, or being heavy in the shoulders and then slimmer waist down, but taller or larger
That's
compared
true.
to like whoever is in there, like proportionally speaking, that's the shape they'll be in, right?
It's weird.
And it keeps going. And so I call those like the lanky version or the potato version of whatever it is that we're looking at. And everybody has that. So even though ENTPs, for instance, come in like whatever shell, they're always going to be either a lanky or a potato shaped version of whatever. And the potatoes are just like, who would be a good example of a potato? I can look up a potato later. I'll let you know what I mean, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, right. I have a good example of an ENFP potato right now, but I don't want to be disrespectful.
I was
I got to
gonna.
find a better name for it.
You know what I noticed about some ENFPs? I don't. Of course, I can't say this is all of them. I think they like try to catfish people.
ENFPs?
Yeah, it's weird. I think they do try to catfish people.
How so?
Like you know how like you ever watch the show Catfish?
Hmm.
I think they do it. I think they're the ones that do it a
Oh, like
lot.
literally.
Yeah, I'm,
Oh,
I'm not talking
yeah,
about like a normal one. I'm
I
talking about
believe
like
it.
one with low self esteem or something. You know what I mean?
I believe it, like an
Yeah.
unhealthy one. Yeah.
Maybe they. I don't know. I don't. I've been trying to figure that out, but I don't know why. But
No,
kind of funny.
I believe it. Their thing is social engineering. All right, it's a superpower they have.
Hmm.
they normally, in a healthy sense, try to use that to make everybody get along and then work better together. And through that, they consequentially, ISTJ subconscious, I'm doing math, get better production or productivity out of the group, right? Because if everybody's working together, cohesive, we're not arguing amongst ourselves. We're focusing on the goal, the shared enemy. So sometimes that means you have to put on a face, right? Which makes them uniquely ideal in some work situations. But if they're unhealthy, they're uniquely corrosive in work situations, especially if they're a manager, because they're not meant to manage other people. They're meant to manage themselves. So when they're unhealthy, what they'll do with that social engineering, I'm still doing math, pardon me,
Copy.
is boom. Instead of working towards the community's good, they'll feign that because that's what everyone's looking for, and then get what they need to get out of it and then leave, which is typically their TE child, which means look at me, think of me in a certain way, or don't look at me and think of me in a certain way. So if you're saying they would physically actually catfish people, I believe that so that they can get people to look at them and think of them in a certain way.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, snap. Love is Blind is a good example of some of these body types too. When you
Uh huh.
see them, you'll be like, oh, snap.
Let me check it out.
We want
Trying to get
highlights, bro.
caught up on some things, man. Some good shows.
Netflix is garbage right now. Honestly,
Yeah,
if
it
it wasn't
is.
for the
I've been
person
hearing
I'm with, I
that.
wouldn't be watching these.